Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody doing? It's a great morning. It is Thursday. And welcome the Muddled Muva. Here we are. Definitely excited about you all actually listening and joining in. So I gave a little snippet on my IG about the third quarter. The third quarter. If you see me guys looking back because I'm trading right now. I'm looking at my other computer, looking at the trades, looking at what's going on in the market. Definitely, I'm excited. It is definitely a new day. Sun beaming down on me. So yeah, we are here. Let's go ahead and get this started. So we were talking about the third quarter of the year. And I gave a little snippet about being comfortable in the third quarter. And being comfortable, period. Like let's just say this. It wasn't necessarily being about being comfortable just in the third quarter. It's like being comfortable, period. So me and my fiance, we were having this conversation the other day, and we were talking about how people put you in a box. Like everything is basically in a box. So him and I are actually we we were sitting down, and we always sit down and we had these conversations about people. And we don't talk about people, but we talk about situations, and we talk about our situations, and we talk about our relationship, and we talk about how we get through things, because him and I, we have been knowing each other for 20 plus years. So we are definitely attached at the hip, basically, not literally, but we are. He's my reason for a lot of things. He has pushed me. I really appreciate him so much, because without him, a lot of things, and I think, God places certain people in your life at a certain time, at the right time. And I think he came into my life at the right time, because we had always been friends, but it became like, it started to hit me like, this is the person who I've always respected. I've always had a relationship with. I've always been friends with. Always respected me. We've always had these conversations, and it literally was like, it wasn't a conversation that we said, "Hey, we're gonna do this." It was just kind of like one thing after another, and it was like, "Hold on, wait a minute." And we both had the conversation, and so when we both sat down, and we just like, man, look, I mean, we're doing it, so might as well, we were already into the mode. So it was one of those things that it wasn't forced, and I just appreciate that, because it works in order. So we are here. Fast forward, we're getting married next year, and I'm excited about him and I barking onto a new journey. But this is a journey that we always talk about, and we talk about boxing, people being boxed in, because I was talking about being comfortable, right? And I was talking about how people are usually, when you are uncomfortable, that is when you typically are getting ready to, you want to actually go into a new journey, because when you're uncomfortable, that's when things start to make a lot more sense to you, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah. I'm really uncomfortable in this situation. So, um, that's when you actually start to, your back is against the wall, and all these things are going on. So we were having a conversation about people being boxing and people boxing you in, because for a long time, I went to school, uh got multiple degrees, got a master's degree, got certifications. Actually was on my way to get my doctoral degree, and Forex was introduced to me. So at that time, I just was like, no, I'm good, because this is my life. And my life was mainly all around being a therapist. And that is what I do. And of course, this is October, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which is Mental Health Awareness Month. I think it's very important that we check our mental health. Only because of the pandemic, and just because, period, we want to check our mental health. We want to make sure that we are doing what we need to do to, you know, make sure we good, because there's a lot of things that a lot of things think a lot of people have a stigma around mental health. And when you hear the word mental health, you automatically think crazy, right? We automatically think crazy, because that is what we were told, that if you're crazy, you go to a therapist. That's what we said. But me being a therapist and me having over 10 years of experience working with people with schizophrenia, working with people with anxiety, depression, ADHD, ADD, bipolar disorder, all of the above. Working with those different people in all types of colors, races, creeds, everything. It is definitely something I think people have to understand is that it is very real, and you have to take care of yourself. And as much as I preach that, sometimes I don't, do what I need to do myself. But anyway, I digress. Of course, I digress. But what I was saying was, him and I were having a conversation about just being boxed in, and how, I've been a therapist for all these years, and this was all I know, and this was all that I did, being a therapist, being a therapist. And so that was my box. And then as time went on, I became a mother, and then that was my box. So a lot of times people will try to box you in those particular occupations, because especially when you become a mother. And that's why I've named this podcast the Muddled Muva, because it's the slang term for mother, of course. And it's also muddled is, some things are at a disarray. And it's okay if things are at a disarray. Like, some things are just all over the place, but it's about how it comes together, right? It's about how you finish it, not how you start it. Because it doesn't matter how you start it, it's about how you end it, how you finish it. Um, but needless to say, so we box people in a certain thing, and I think society does a great job of that, because it's like, hey, you go to college, you go to school, you're supposed to go find you a great husband, you're supposed to do this, and you're supposed to do things in an order. And when you go outside of that order, people look at you like, wait, you're not supposed to do it that way. This is not how you're supposed to do it. So then we all ask the question, well, who told you that? Like, who said that I had to do it this way? And I think, that society, because we love to box people in, because that is what you're known for. So as a therapist, that was what all that I did. I did therapy day in and day out. And even to the point where I was even slick doing therapy on my friends, because it was so a part of my life that I couldn't even turn it off sometimes. And it was crazy, because I would ask questions and not even realizing that I was analyzing a person and trying to figure out what was going on with that person. So I was like, what is going on? This is my box. So then I became a mother. And then that's what, that was my box. Because when you become a mother, especially a first time mother, and I was 31 when I first had my first child. Let's just say that. I was well established. I was financially capable. I was everything above, because I had went through my career. I was on my own. I was great. This was what I really wanted at the time. Of course, I wanted to be married, because that's the whole deal. But of course, things happen. And I had a baby, but I was stable enough to take care financially, but emotionally, nobody was able to tell me what I was going to actually embark in. So when I became a mother, it was like, oh, you can't focus on anything else. You can't do anything else. You're a mother. That's all that matters. This is your life. Don't look at anything else. Your life is over with, because now, look, you've done everything, because you're 31. You should already have all that at your system. But it wasn't about going out. It wasn't about just doing that. It was about having a fine balance. And nobody actually broke that down to me, because even when I tried to figure out a balance, people were like, you're not supposed to do that. And I would get so many looks at me like weird and side-eyed if I wanted to go out with my friends, or if I wanted to have a drink or anything like that. People would tell me, you're not being a good mother. I used to hear that all the time with my first child. And for a long time, that's what I thought that I was. I was like, wait a minute, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. Why not? I can't go with my friends and just have a couple hours to myself, because I'm a mother every single day. And that's another box that they put you in. So you think about all the things, and you get comfortable in these situations, because you're like, these people are telling me this is all that I can do. I can't do anything else, because I have a child. I have to look out for my child. I have to do this. I can't do this, because I have to look out for that. I can't go to, I got to get this job, because this is my career. This is what's going to make me get six figures. This is what's going to get me to the next level. I have to work this job. I have to be in this box. So we put ourselves in a box, and him and I were having a conversation about how everything is so boxed in. Even with him, he played professional basketball for a long time, and he'd been playing ball since he was 6 or 7 years old. So basketball was all that he knew. So when basketball was over, and now it's like reality sets in, but everybody tells you, hey, this is all that you can do. And for so long, he really felt like all he could do was play basketball. That's it. He don't need to do anything else. Like, what am I going to do now that I'm not playing basketball? Because a lot of athletes go through this whole deal as far as, what do I do now? Like, what do I do now? And everybody says, well, go back to school. Like, why do you need to go back to school? And I'm not saying don't go back to school, but at the same time, it's like, um, that's not going to solve everything, right? So then you become in a situation where now you feel depressed. Now you feel like, I can't, I can't do anything constructive. I can't do anything productive because all I know is basketball. So I got to figure out how to continue into that mode. That's why I feel like it's very important, especially for athletes, to have a therapist and have somebody they can have a conversation with, because when you don't do that, it definitely starts to play on your heartstrings, on your in your mind, because you're thinking like, if I can't play basketball, if I can't do this particular job, what am I going to actually do? And I think that is so 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 you know crazy to me, that people really honestly think that that is all that they can do, is is what I'm trying to say is just what they can do. So like, I think sometimes we put each other in a box, and I think it's just kind of sad that, because we can do more than just what we are like accustomed to. And I think for a long time I was accustomed to literally just being a therapist and being a mom. And so when Forex was presented to me, I was very reluctant about it, because I was like, this is not for real, of course, because I did not know that things could happen of that nature. Like, I didn't know that. But I was so comfortable in my state. Like, I was a mother, I had a good job, I was making enough money to do this and that. Very comfortable. Like, I was good. So once this became a part of my life, I was like, okay, cool. I'ma still work. So I became into a journey where the pandemic and all these things started to happen. And so my uncomfortable state started to be a little bit more uncomfortable than I really wanted it to be. Right. So and I've been uncomfortable prior to having a baby, like going through school, working, trying to figure out life, trying to navigate through adulthood. Like, you become part of, like, don't do this, don't do that, and you still do it, and you figure out, oh yeah, they were right. Don't do this. Like, sometimes I sit back and I laugh, and I'm like, oh yeah, my mama was right. Don't do that, Jewel. But you don't, you know what I'm saying? You don't know. And of course, you got to figure it out on your own. And I mean, that's just adult, period. Like, I know my children are going to do the same thing. Like, they're going to go through something and they're like, oh, yeah, my mama told me don't do it. And guess what? You did it. So, you know, we were just continuing to have a conversation about you just don't want to be, you shouldn't always be a box to one thing, because when you become in a box, you start to operate like a robot, and you start to operate off of just that. And I think it's important that when things are presented to us, that we see what it is, because I don't think that some people, you if you have a job, and there's nothing wrong with having a job, but it's something wrong with only having a job. And a lot of people want the glory and the fame and the money, but they don't want to do anything outside of that. And so I started to realize, going through my journey with Forex and just whole journey, like, man, I learned so much about myself, and it began it and it wasn't even uncomfortable. Like, I'm my back is against the wall uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable because I was starting to tap into a new self. And that was scary, because I had never felt this way. I had never started to do these things. I was reading more books. I was finding out more about myself. And I was like, I'm 30 some years old, and it's starting to make sense to me now. And I think a lot of people have to go through that whole journey. And I'm not even going to lie to you. Entrepreneurship is actually one of the most rewarding journeys and occupations, but it's also challenging, especially when you have three children, especially when you have young children. and you're trying to navigate through life as a mother, you're trying to navigate through life as a wife, you're trying to navigate through life as a entrepreneur. You want to have all these hats, and then you have to figure out when you're going to have some time for yourself. So everything is like, we were just talking about boxing things in, and I think that it's okay that if you do something that's not the norm, right? That's not what the normal thing is, because the norm in my household was go to school. That was the norm. The norm was, oh, hey, go to school, get a good job, find somebody, you get married. And I think that's the norm for a lot of women, especially a lot of people. That is the norm. And so as life goes on, 20 years ago, of course, that was normal. But now we are in a different time, we're a different world, and I think it's okay to find and reinvent yourself, because that's important, to reinvent yourself and figure out who you are. And once you figure out who you are, you start to feel like, what is going on? Like, it starts to feel great, because you never even knew that you can do some of the things. I never even knew I could do some things. And that is what the whole me being comfortable, because if I was in a comfortable state, which I've been in, I would have never figured out I can do this, I can do that, I can do that. Because a lot of times we get put in these boxes, like that is it, that's all we can do. So when we are outside, when we start figuring out, like, you got this, you got that, and it's okay, because a lot of people have like podcasts, a lot of people have like clothing lines. All these people are trying to figure out and be entrepreneurs, because that is the way of the world. Like, that is the world that we live in. Like, nobody wants to be working for a job, a 9 to 5, having somebody tell you when and you can take a lunch break or a period. Like, nobody wants to do that anymore. And I've done my share of time. I've been working since I was 12. I started working with my dad when I was 12 years old, and I worked my whole life. So I worked a job. I've always stayed at a job longer than a year or two. I think the only time I had a job was less than a year, was because I moved to New Orleans, and I think I had that job maybe a year and some change, like right at a year, and then I left, and then I was at a job for like 7 years. So I'm always working. I felt like working was hard work is great, but also it's like I was exchanging my time for money. So the whole thing is that, now it's some different challenges, and now, like, I'm not just in this box, because, like, hey, I could be a mother, I can run this podcast, I can have this business, I can do trading, I can do this. I have all these revenues that are opening up to different things, and I'm gonna be honest with you, it's all because of my fiance. Because if he did not introduce forex to me, if he didn't introduce it to me, then somebody else may have would have introduced it to me that I may not would have even taken a look at, because it came from a reliable source, and it came from a person who I really felt like I trusted. And at the time, I knew that he was a business person, because he's always been about his business. I said, hey, let me take a look at it. I had to do the research to figure out if this was for me or not. And at first, I didn't think it was for me. But now, I'm an educator. I have my own classes. I teach in a community. I teach all these different things. I help people out. So it's like, even outside of teaching, I'm still helping people figure out another way, because I figure out there's another way. Like, it's nothing wrong with going to school. It's nothing wrong with getting an education. It's nothing wrong with having an occupation. It's nothing wrong if that's what you really, 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 really love. But let me just tell you this, like, it is amazing to be able to do the things and not being put in a box. And I think, even being comfortable, like, when you're around certain people, you start to see that these people aren't for you, because it's like slick, kind of like dissing. You know what I'm saying? And I think him and I were having the same conversation. We just talking about how, people will put you in this box, and the people that don't understand it, you will start to see that, because that is why it's important for you to do things in self-aware. What's going on with you? Like, what do I need to do to get to the next level? What do I need to do to get better? And you read to get better, and you meditate, and you focus on the mind, you focus on your mindset, you control your emotions, all these things that a lot of people cannot do. And see, I heard this, I think Steve Harvey said this. He was like, man, everybody that come with you can't go with you. And that stuck with me, because I have lost a lot of people along my journey. And it's like, I've had friends that I'm no longer friends with because they were no good for me and because they did some really evil stuff to me as an adult. Like, I expect the kind of stuff when you were teenagers, but I never would expect that as grown women, right? And then there are some friends that were friends, we're still cool, but not the same, and I don't know, what the reason is, but I just feel like, over time people just they have their thing. And it's nothing bad about it. It's just they had their thing. But when I heard that when Steve Harvey said, everybody that come with you can't go with you. Meaning, like, there are certain people that come with you through life, but when you start to go to levels and different levels, everybody can't go with you with that level, right? Because that requires a different type of mind. And I realized that, like, most of my friends who are entrepreneurs, and my best friend who is a lovely, like, who has it, she's actually inspired me. Inspiration comes from all forms, and I think she is such an inspiration because I've watched her grow over the years, and I've been knowing her since I was a little bitty girl, like 5 or 6 years old, and we're still friends to this day. And I've seen her go through so much, and where she is now, it's like a proud mama moment. But I'm not we're the same age, so you see people and you realize, like, it takes a lot, and so those people are going to support you. Those people are going to, because they know what's going on. A lot of people that don't understand something, they shy away from it. So if somebody doesn't understand what you're doing, they think that you're doing something wrong because you're not in that box that they're in. And I think that's the whole thing about, not being in a box, because I think we all can do things, whatever that we want to do. So, like, I'm I've been a therapist, and that's all I ever did. I was a mother, that's all I ever did. Now being a forex trader, sometimes it's like, hey, this is not all I can do is just trade. Like, a lot of people just think that's all I do is just trade. Like, I don't do anything else. Like, no, I have a lot of things that I do, and I wear a lot of hats. And so it's like, you have to be okay with, if you know, you have to be okay with the fact that you can step outside of that box that people in society will put you in, and learn how to really grow in your journey, and grow through the process, and not just say that you're growing, but really grow through the process and understand, understand what's going on. Because the thing is that the box does not, like, confines you, right? So that is where the uncomfortable state is. So I think when people get uncomfortable, they learn how to they learn how to really tap into their new selves, no matter what it is, no matter how it is. I think when you do become uncomfortable, it allows you to tap into another self, and it definitely allows you to see who you really are, like how much you really can handle, um emotionally. And I think, to me, that it's the universe telling you, like, hey, you might need to let this go. Let me show you how to do this. Let me help you, you know, control this, or let me do this. Because a lot of things come from just discipline. And discipline takes time, and discipline takes patience, and so does whatever that you're trying to do outside of that comfortable state that we are all in. So yeah, it is, like I say, I'm excited because this podcast is like, I think it's more or less me being having fun, and not necessarily being, like, rigid about these topics, because there's so many things that have happened in my life. And I think a lot of people, that's why people do podcasts, is because they want to talk about their life experiences and their what's going on. So, like, I have an array of things. And so it's like, man, like, I have so much experience with, therapy. And then I have experience with being a mother. Like, it's crazy. And then just going through life, and just different things that him and I have experienced over the past 5 years, because even though we've been knowing each other for 20 something years, our past 5 years that we have been together, we have gone through so much. So we laugh, because a lot of times people look at us, and when we share our experience, that we say, well, I wouldn't do that. I ain't gonna do that. people look like, why would you do that? So we have a different approach. And I feel like we are more realistic when it comes down to certain things. Like we don't have a dog and pony show. That's what I call it. Like my dad used to always say, like, that's a dog and pony show. That's a lot of fluff. That's a lot of monkey shine. That is a lot of just somebody not being all the way 100 with you. So you got to keep it real. And my dad used to always tell me, like, I don't care what's going on. You treat everybody the same and you keep it 100. Well, he didn't say 100 because, of course, he didn't know what that meant. But he was like, you always keep it real with people. Like people will always respect that part of you because you can only be somebody, you can only pretend to be somebody for so long. And then the real you got to come out. And then once the real you come out, and if they're not ready for that, then you have created something. So a lot of times it's accountability of ourselves, because if we come off the jump and be realistic about certain things, then those people have a choice if they want to stay or leave. And I think that is so important that I definitely learned that throughout my life. And I think that is what the podcast is about. It's just about being real and having things as a mother, as a wife, as a woman, even as him, as a father, as a husband, as just a brother, as a son. Everything comes in different forms. And so we wanted to definitely share our experiences by keeping it 100 and keeping it real, because my life is muddled. And even though that may be a negative term to some, I think it's like organized chaos. So it's like sometimes it doesn't come together like I want it to, but at the end, it really works itself out. And I think that's what it's about. It's just about having, and it's okay that if your life is not put together perfectly, or it's imperfectly perfect, so I think that that's important to understand, is that when you are a woman and you have a father, if you're a mother, if you're a wife, whatever that it is, when you're trying to wear all these different hats, it can become very muddled. But at the end of the day, it's all about how you end it. And like I say, it's not about how you start it. It's always about how you finish it. So I'm excited. I'm glad that I'm starting to do this, because this is outside of my box. This is definitely outside of my box. I am a extrovert, but lately I have been like, it's just pandemic has just got me in this world of I don't know. And now that the world is, trying to get back to some normalcy, I want to get back to some normalcy too. So I'm excited about this new journey. I'm excited about this thing, and I'm definitely going to have some guests on, and I'm definitely going to have some women that can share their experience. And I think it's just really about sharing our lives, sharing our experiences, men, women. We're going to do a lot of different things. I'm so excited about my fiance coming on with me, because we definitely got some good topics. Like, it's going to be fire. But definitely this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Save the tatas. And of course, this is Mental Health Awareness Month as well. So we definitely want to, let people get checked out. Check your mental health. And it's okay. Sometimes you got to give yourself time and grace, and give yourself, give yourself that check. And shouts out to all the mothers who had babies and got pregnant in the pandemic, because I'm one of them, right? In the heart of the pandemic, it was like world shut down all the way when I had my baby. So definitely, give yourself some time and grace. And it's okay if you want to wake up this morning, you say, I don't want to do nothing. It's okay to do that, because mothers are strong. Mothers are, we are superwomen. So we have to understand that, and we have to understand that, hey, it's okay if something can't get done today. Just put it on the list for tomorrow. So yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait, you guys. And I'm so glad on this Thursday, October the 7th. Today's the 7th? Yeah. Today's the 7th, I think. Yeah. So October the 7th, I'm looking forward to all of the great things that you can do. Don't put yourself in a box. Don't always, be succumb to one thing. Do all things, because guess what? God said, hey, you can't just do some, you can do all. So yeah, I'm the Muddled Muva, and I'm out, and I hope everybody have a great day, and thanks for listening, and we'll check you next time.